All right, welcome back. You should have Python installed now, but we're going to quickly just go over a little bit of like what that's going to look like and how you're going to use it. So, um, yeah, like I said, the instructions are in Moodle. You should have done those already. Make sure you follow all the instructions. There's really not too many of them. Um, so yeah, once you have it installed, you will basically we're going to be using what's called the idle editor for Python. It's actually is named, if you're wondering, is like Python, is this made by people who really like snakes? In fact, no, it was made by people who really enjoy Monty Python, and the idle text editor is named after Eric Idle. So there you go. If you're not familiar with Monty Python, check them out, they're pretty funny. So basically, if you are on Windows, you'll find Python in your start menu. And if you click on that, it'll drop down a little bit and you'll see idle. So click on that. If you're in Mac, go to your applications folder, find Python, find the idle editor, and then open that up. So that will open the Python shell first, which will look like this. You see something, Python 3.0, it's got all this information. You can do things with the Python shell, but we are not going to, okay? So what we're going to actually do is from there, go to File, New File, and then that will open another file that's just an empty window that you can type in. So that's actually what we're going to be using to run code in. So the first thing I want you to do is basically pull up that text editor like I showed you, and we're going to type print hello world. So just like this. I'm going to open that up and you're going to type print hello world. So make sure you follow all of the parts of this, right? So the word print needs to be spelled correctly. You need to open parentheses. You need straight quotes here. Type hello world, close the quotes, close the parentheses. One of the reasons it's so important to type code in the correct type of text editor is that if, for example, you try and type code in like Google Docs or Word, when you put quotes and things like that, they will become smart quotes, so like the curvy kind, and those are not the types of quotes that programming languages will recognize as being a part of their syntax. I told you computers are stupid. So if you put in something, so if you type in Word and then try and copy and paste into a text editor, nothing's gonna work. You're gonna get all kinds of weird error messages and you're not gonna understand why, and it's gonna be because the quotes are wrong. So it's really important that you're typing these things in the correct type of program. We're using idle. There are other programs that you can use. Macs come with Xcode. Atom is really good. But we're going to use idle for now because it's simple. It comes with Python. There's just not a lot of stuff you need to mess around with. But that's why it's important to have Python installed and to be doing it the way that I'm showing you, because otherwise it's just not going to work. So once you have that typed in, basically what we're going to do is save the program. So you can't run a Python program until it's saved. So this is the part where it's talking about how you have to save programs to your hard drive, to your local computer. So I'm just going to save it on my desktop, and I'm going to just call it hello. It is also important to make sure that you have that .py at the end, because that way your computer knows, oh, this is a Python file, I should do Python things with it and not like try and open it in Word or whatever. So we're going to do that, and file, save as. I know you can't see the actual like windows that are popping up, but trust me, I'm typing in hello.py and I hit enter. For some reason on my screen capturing device, it's not actually showing the top border where you can see it would be at the top up here, and it should say something like hello.py where you save the file, and then the location of that file on your computer. So it'll probably say something like /users/ your name /desktop or wherever you saved it. That part's going to be important because every time you make an edit to the file, a little asterisk will show up next to the name of your Python file that shows you, oh, you've made changes, but you haven't saved them. So that's going to be important because you don't want to lose your changes, obviously. Okay, so once that file is saved, we can go in and actually run the program. So we're going to do that by going to the Run menu and clicking Run Module. And when we do that, the output from the program is actually going to show up in that shell window that I showed you before. So I'm going to run module, and hello world. So that should be what you got also. Hello World is kind of a classic program that's usually the first one that programmers teach people because it's pretty simple, well, unless you're doing it in assembly, you know, and especially in Python, it's not too much to actually get people to do, so it's usually like the first program that you write in any language. So there you go, your first Python program. So one more thing I want to tell you about before in this little section is commenting your code. So you can use a pound sign or hashtag, whatever you want to call it, in front of text and make it turn into a comment. So a comment isn't code, it doesn't get run, it just helps provide context to the person who is looking at your code to say, here's what I'm doing now, or just to provide other information. So for example, if you're turning in code for homework, it's a really good idea to use a comment and put your name at the top of the file so your professor knows whose work it is. Future you will thank you for commenting your code. The Hello World program is not that complicated, but as you do begin to write more complicated code, you are really going to want to have made some kind of a thing that tells future you what current you is thinking about what you're trying to do. So let me just show you what a comment looks like so you can see it. Basically, all I'm going to do is at the top of the code, I'm going to put that hashtag. I'm going to say my name, what this course is for, and then if you're commenting about a line of code, you can either do it above the code, say this line will print hello world. So you can put it, like I said, above the code. Some people will put the comment after that line, but if you have a line of code that's very long, I generally prefer to put the comment at the top because then it just says, like, you know, this applies to whatever comes below it until you get a new comment. So then you can save that. If you run it again, nothing will change because you haven't changed the code, you've just changed some of the information in the file. And those are different things when it comes to comments. So, we're going to talk more about error messages later, but if you did encounter an error when you're trying this, or the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is just kind of play around with the print statements and print other things. So if you do encounter an error message, these are the messages that you're most likely to encounter just playing around with print statements. And if you're like, wow, that's a surprising number of error messages for something that is not that complicated. Again, computers, kind of dumb. So if you get something that says EOL while scanning string literal, EOL stands for end of line, and basically that's telling you that you forgot to close the quotes somewhere. So one of the really nice things about languages like Python and setups like idle is that you get what's called this syntax highlighting. So you'll notice that anything inside of quotes, including the quotes, is green. So that gives you a visual clue, assuming you're not colorblind, sorry. Though if you are, there are, I think, ways to change the colors that things show up in. I think it's under options. So you can pick things that will show up better for you. Sorry for the break there, I just took a minute to increase the size of the font so you can all see what I'm doing a little bit easier. Okay, so if you remove the quotes at the end, you'll notice that, oh hey, that parenthesis is now green and it used to be black. That's kind of weird, what's up? And so if you try and run, if you save and run the code at this point, you will get one of those EOL you know, error messages. So that's what to, so if you get that, that's what to look out for. Make sure you've closed your quotes. Other things to look out for, unexpected EOF while parsing. So EOF means end of file. So that means the program tried to get, it's reading and it got to the end of everything that you wrote and it's like, wait, I shouldn't be here yet. I'm missing something. So for what you're doing right now, most of the time you're going to get that if you forgot to close your parentheses. So any parenthesis that is open has to be closed at some point, and it has to be closed before you get to the end of the code. Invalid syntax is an error that you'll likely get if you forget to open the quotes, or if you forget to open the parentheses, or if you have characters outside of the quote marks or parentheses. So basically just things aren't where they're supposed to be, and Python's just going, I don't know what you want me to do with this. So that's just invalid syntax. And then a name error is something that you might get if, for example, you misspell print. It happens a lot, actually. You'll see a lot of name errors are probably one of the most common things that people run into because it is so easy to misspell things, and you're thinking, well, of course I typed print. What else would I have typed? That's ridiculous. And in fact, you didn't, and the computer's not smart enough to know, like, oh, well, she probably meant print. It's right there. There's some quotes. There's some string. There's stuff in green. The computer does not know. They think maybe you're trying to make up some fancy new thing, and it's just doesn't know what you're talking about. So those are the error messages you're likely to encounter. So what I'd like you to do right now is basically just spend some time playing with the printing messages. Print different types of characters, use the functions more than once. So basically you can have a one print thing, but you can copy that line and then put a whole bunch more. So they'll print different things on different lines. Put comments in your code, basically just play around, print some messages to, shock your roommate when the computer says hi to them or whatever. Just to get a sense of like, okay, this is how I modify existing code, which is really key. This is how, I gotta remember to save it, gotta remember to run it. And if you get an error message, it's fine, don't panic. You can always fix it. It's always fixable. You're not going to destroy your computer if you get an error message. It would be very, very hard to do that in Python particularly. So have fun.